Hello, everyone. Welcome to On the Fringes of Sound. I am Lars Hauer, and today we are talking once again with Nick of both Desolation Plains and Farcaster. How you doing today, Nick?
Good. Pretty great. How about you?
I mean, I'm doing. Since we last talked, you've been pretty busy, it looks like. So, for starters, that new Farcaster album that we talked about last time just came out last week. And it's a pretty fun ride. It's got a lot of those interesting, like, it has that real like 50s 60s sci-fi kind of vibe to it, but has just like enough like modern touch to not sound like you're just playing an old 50s movie or something.
Yeah.
So
Right.
now, like, listening to it and then listening to like your last Desolation Plains release, I hear like some interlap. So do you feel like the that your work on Desolation Plains has had any kind of influence on what you've done with Farcaster now?
Yeah, that one kind of stumped me a little bit for whatever reason. I would say yeah, they kind of overlap in some regard that they both have like some ambient undertones or it's like I really like laying in on, huge sweepy pads and, kind of things that make it feel like I don't know how to explain it, just like large or, like large and captivating in that sort of way. So I would say that there's definitely some overlap in that regard. Um, yeah, I guess in other ways too. I was trying to think of other overlaps too, because in my mind, it's kind of funny. I kind of think of them as like two pretty separate projects from each other. Like Desolation Plains is, kind of more like forlorn. I wouldn't say depressing, but like, it's got that like fantasy moody thing going on. I
Right.
was really trying to open up a little bit more with Farcaster and kind of get like not quite poppy, but like, something with a little bit more of a tempo that hits you a little harder.
Right.
Um, you know, yeah.
So where I heard some of like the overlap between them though is like you've gotten really into like it sounds like really meaty kind of drum sounds. Like there's what they call, thump in a lot of those songs now. So I noticed it's like that's something that I heard on like the last Desolation Plains album, and then I also heard it very clearly on the Farcaster album as well.
Yeah, yeah, and actually, now that you say that, yeah, I do. So on on Kingdom Fall, there was a good amount of that. I will say, I know we're going to dig into this a little bit later, but the newer Desolation Plains album coming out, I was really trying to dig into that a little bit more, with a little bit more percussive elements and stuff. So yeah, I think in my brain when I think about Desolation Plains, for some reason I still go back to sort of Hailstone. Like Kingdom Fall was
Mm.
super fun to make, but it felt more like, and I know I haven't come out with like too many albums or anything, but it was kind of like more like this fun experiment I was doing, trying to break out of like some of the uh FM synthesis realm or whatever that Desolation Plains was kind of founded on.
Mhm.
Well, I'm just kind of like returning back to that. I feel like that's what Desolation Plains feels like to me. But along with that, I think, kind of exploring some percussive elements in Kingdom Fall that definitely like, yeah, it kind of, since Brain Machine was really started right after Kingdom Fall was put together or whatever, I started Brain Machine probably mid 2021 or maybe fall 2021 or something. It was really kind of piggybacked off Kingdom Fall. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is, definitely some influence going into it from Kingdom Fall. So
When we last talked, you also were just talking about starting up your own label, Old Stories. So now, fast forward, what has this been about a year now?
I think so. Yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of wild to think about, but yeah, definitely.
Right? So yeah, a year ago you were just talking about it, and now it looks like it's like fully up and running. Like you're putting out tapes, and it looks like your friend we talked about last time, Sorcerer, he's actually on the label now too. So how did he
Yeah,
actually like come about joining you on the label?
love that guy. It's dumb. We sit across each other every other week at a Dungeons and Dragons session, and
Oh,
he so literally like we see each other a lot. Really good local friend of mine. Especially during like the thick of pandemic in like 2020. and into 2021, when everyone was really rigorously like quarantining and all of that, we sent so many tracks. We have a little Discord group, it's just like our little Dungeons and Dragons, whatever group. It's really cute.
Okay.
Yeah, but we all, the 5 or 6, 7 of us, we're all into synthesizers too. We're into music. And so the two of us especially bounce tracks back and forth. It's like, every track you hear on every album I make, every track you hear on Sorcerer's albums, I wouldn't say there's a screening process, but they're all definitely shared with each other in this kind of small group. So it's kind of funny when you say like comparing Desolation Plains with Farcaster. Maybe I'm overstepping my bounds here, and Sorcerer Lucas would correct me on this or something, but I actually find a lot of inspiration from his work. So prior to these 2 tapes, he's come out with like 4 or 5, albums and EPs and things like that. If you go to his Bandcamp, you'll see he's pumped out a lot of really fun, really good kind of lo-fi beat stuff.
Listening through his stuff, I noticed it's like a lot of his stuff is like very beat driven. So when I heard it, I kind of wondered, it's just like, those are some familiar sounding beats there.
Yeah, well, it's like I hear it, it's like I want to do that. That's that sounds fun. That sounds cool. Like,
but
it's like
I want the bass too.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So I always feel like I'm kind of like taking little bits and pieces of what he's doing and like, okay, that is super cool. Like I want to do something like that. And actually, like one track specifically in Kingdom Fall is like the interlude. I think it's like track 5 or something. It's got kind of this like, bassy, really drum driven, almost lo-fi beat thing. And it's like, me somehow like trying to impersonate that feeling or something like that. So, it's just super fun because especially like with the, I can get off of this in a minute too, but I'm just excited to talk about Sorcerer a little bit also.
Go ahead.
It's just like, some of the themes that we're all like into, it's like, we are all in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, for Christ's sake. Like, there's some like real deep driven, like nerdy stuff going on, but it's like we both have this great appreciation for like vintage and retro media. It's like any of that like 70s, 80s, fantasy, or just like the really just silly B-side sci-fi movies and stuff. Like we eat that stuff up. It's so much fun. So it's kind of fun sending tracks back and forth and just like hearing like, this is like a more fun modernized version of kind of what you said, like, trying to watch a 50s, 60s sci-fi, vintage B-film sci-fi movie or whatever. Like they're kind of slow and they're kind of painful to sit through sometimes, but there's like some great elements that you can kind of extract from that and, modernize a little bit with like, kind of like whatever this fun lo-fi movement is, or vaporwave or dungeon synth or whatever. It's just like reenacting some of this, fun thematic elements or whatever. So
you're talking about like the lo-fi beats that you hear on Sorcerer's tracks and stuff is like, mixing it, like bringing that into like dungeon synth and kind of like a retro wave is like, it actually makes a lot of sense because that was a lo-fi era and it actually works really well. So he just kind of joined, like him joining the label was like almost just a natural thing because you guys are already involved in like the Dungeons and Dragons group, which I'm guessing you guys play Dungeons and Dragons in the Discord as well, or?
We tried for a little while in the early pandemic days, but it was kind of hard. Well, no, never mind. I'm sorry. We don't like text play, but like we do the video chat thing. Yeah, we actually still do that. It's like if we have an off week, if we can't find someone to host for that particular week or whatever, we'll hop on Discord and play. So, we're for a bunch of, middle-aged people, we sure make a point to play on a regular basis, which I'm very grateful for. So
being middle-aged is the best time for that. It's just like, oh my gosh, I can stop I can stop thinking I just have to go out and party and try and get laid all the time. I can just like I can sit around with my friends and play games like I want to. Oh, thank
Yeah.
God. Oh,
Thank
I can
goodness.
relax.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I know it felt natural. I was kind of the one to initiate tapes with that whole thing. Like
Hmm.
the it what he creates like demands to be put on tape, I feel like. It's just like it's the medium you need to listen to Sorcerer on, in my mind.
Right.
So, it was really fun to be able to kind of put that together. I'm not sure if you noticed, the Sorcerer artwork, but Lucas is also like a really incredible illustrator.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so like the art on the tapes, I have one right here. Shoo, whoops, that's not
oh,
doing it
okay.
any justice. Hop on the Bandcamp, you can see them there. But
Of
yeah,
course.
they just look beautiful. It's like there's a lot of time was spent making them feel and look amazing, really. So
Right.
it just made sense. It's like these need to be on a physical medium. That's
So
the bottom line.
so does he also do like any of the art for Desolation Plains or Farcaster or anything like that? Or
Mm, not yet. I've definitely thought about it. But he's also I don't know. Yeah, I guess I should ask him sometime. I don't want to bother him. That's about it. Or with like it's like everyone's busy. Like he's got a life to live, and he's busy with work and all that too. So I don't want to be like, hey, I need art. Um, hey, can you float me an incredible illustration for my stuff? Um, yeah, I don't know. Like for my stuff,
right.
it's like kind of adjacent to what he does, but there is like a little bit of a different vibe, I guess.
Okay.
I personally like to do a little bit of drawing and illustration, so like I'll tackle some of that for my own releases, like Brain Machine, for instance, like that illustration cover. I did that prior to the release. Like it was
Okay.
just like a silly idea, and then painstakingly tried to cobble it together. But Lucas would have done a better job, but here we are. So um,
That's always the
yeah,
fun part is like you have a silly idea and you spend an inordinate amount of time trying to make that silly idea look or sound good.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah, it's
I
fun.
it turned out pretty. It turned out fun. I mean, like it's kind of like on par with kind of the Brain Machine album isn't supposed to be like some super serious thing. It's just supposed to be like some like reenactment of media from yesteryear. And it's like if you look at like all the pulp sci-fi artwork out there from the time, like there's some really incredible pieces, and then other ones are just like, oh, like yeah, I can definitely draw something like that. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
so some like good artists probably pumped this out in an hour, in 1962 or something like that.
And
So
got
that's
paid
kind of
like
what I was shooting
$2
for.
for it.
Yeah, right, right.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. So like with Desolation Plains, you probably do a lot of the artwork for that as well, or
Yeah, so actually I have contracted with a couple really amazing artists. Kingdom Fall, you can find him on Twitter as Misha Mano. Um, yeah,
I
yeah,
think I
I'm
follow
sure you're
him.
familiar. Yeah, yeah, he does some like really gritty, dark stuff, but like the one he made, it's like this like lone sorcerer overlooking this like burning castle or whatever. And I should really just post it again, like the full, you know, version, and just be like, look at this goddamn picture or whatever, this bleep bleep picture, this illustration, because it's amazing. It's like what as soon as I saw it, I was like, I didn't even have a project yet for it. I was like, I need to buy this right now. Like this is incredible. So I actually had that piece of artwork probably a good 9 months before like Kingdom Fall was even like remotely done.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, it actually kind of inspired a lot of that album. So that's kind of fun. Desolation or no, Sword of Hailstone, that was Goran on Twitter.
Okay.
He
I
he's
follow
kind
him
of a
as well.
superstar now. Yeah, yeah. I'm afraid to ask him for anything again because he's like, I feel like he's almost celebrity status at this point. But yeah, he did
Oh no, he's
a
too
great
big for
job.
me now. I can't approach that guy. Bro, you
Yeah.
bought artwork off of me like 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd
no, I
love to
know what
work
you
with
mean.
him again. Yeah, for that one, I did contact him specifically with no real plan in mind, I guess. I just like saw his style and I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I want to go for. So I just reached out and was like, hey, do you want to do artwork? And he's like, yeah, what are you thinking? I'm like, honestly, you can just kind of like take creative liberties and
Mm,
go nuts. And he did, and it looked amazing. Like, absolutely love that piece. So yeah, I guess I don't know. I it's kind of funny. It's like I feel all over the place with art. Like I love working with other artists. I think that's the bottom line. But I also at the same time like creating art once in a while or like illustrations once in a while. So it kind of I feel it out based on each project, I guess. The next Desolation Plains album, that's probably going to be a piece that I do. I already kind of have a couple finished, and works with the theme I'm going with. So you'll get an original from me this time around. So
okay. Yeah,
yeah,
I think you actually you might have leaked a picture of the new Desolation Plains artwork on Instagram a while back.
I
But
did. Yeah,
so like while we're talking about it, like you just released your latest Farcaster album, but now you've already announced that you have another Desolation Plains album coming out. So, what kind of insight can you give us on like what's going to be on this one? Are there going to be any like extras with it? Are you expanding on the mobile app with this one as well?
right. So yeah, actually, this project was interesting because I really was prepared to do like a Sword of Hailstone Volume 2 specifically, which would have been like an expanded app and stuff like that. Um, eh, I do software development full time, so the problem is like by the time I'm like sitting down being like, yay, I get to work on my own software project, I'm like completely burnt out. It's like the last thing I want to do. So if we
I
see
feel
Sword of
that.
Hailstone Volume 2, just know that I've probably lost my job and I have a lot of free time on my hands. So, no, well,
Oh, well, really good for us, not as great for you, but okay.
right. No, this one, I do have another like game in the works. It's another like solo RPG style thing.
Mhm.
I'm pretty excited about it. There's going to be a cassette. The cassette packaging will have game supplement on it, but ultimately
Okay.
there will be a zine or a booklet that I'm still trying to work out, like if it's just going to come with the tape or if it's going to be kind of modular. It's like the game components. I think with Desolation Plains, that's going to be a pretty like common thing for every release. As you know, like the album's done. I'm just like trying to wrap up the game situation and then I'll, hopefully release sooner than later. But yeah,
Okay.
so that's kind of where I'm at. So hopefully a cassette and then some sort of zine that comes with the album, a digital download or whatever. So yeah.
Okay. Around what date range are we looking at for that to be released?
Yeah, I'm hoping
Okay.
for fall. Yeah. I'm hoping for fall.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the zine itself is like 90% there, like, play tested the little game component. I shouldn't belittle it. I shouldn't say it's little. It's actually like I spent most of February putting this together. I got like really sucked into it. Um, but it's just like formatting it and making it like human readable is a whole other animal. So just trying to make sure it makes sense. I'm probably going to have a couple people play test it. Um, and yeah, so I'm going to shoot for fall. I'm going to say fall. There you go.
Okay.
That's my deadline. So
Self-imposed deadlines.
yeah, thanks for forcing it out of me. So
All right. Well, looking forward to hearing that. So aside from like Farcaster, like just out last week, got Desolation Plains album coming out sometime in fall. So what else is coming out from the label? Is Sorcerer going to have any new releases, or are there any other artists that are going to be joining the label?
yeah, so actually Sorcerer did just come out with a new album last week. He
Oh
didn't even
wow.
tell me. So what the heck? Uh
He's on your label.
We're gonna have to talk about communication here. Yeah, no. Anyways, yeah, no, he's always coming out with stuff like it's kind of nuts. Um, let's see. As far it's kind of funny. Old Stories is like something that I'm definitely taking my time with. I want to make sure that whatever ends up on it makes sense with kind of the theme that I'm hopefully curating, which is, there's definitely that vein in like role-playing game territory and fantasy sci-fi elements and themes and stuff like that. So just kind of taking my time finding people that resonate with that, I guess. I haven't quite reached out to anyone yet. I have a couple people in mind, but yeah, I don't know. Just it's kind of fun, it's not like it's not like putting food on the table or anything. It's just kind of like a fun, thing in the background to do. So
So that's a
if anything,
maybe.
that's a maybe. Yeah. It's kind of funny. If anything, Old Stories, like, okay, as an artist, as a musician or an illustrator or mixed media or whatever, you think as an artist, like, oh, I'm just going to make art. I'm going to make art, going to make art. But no one ever really tells you, like, oh, you're going to be at the post office a lot, or you're going to be like spending a Saturday printing out labels, things like that. So it's like Old
Right.
Stories, I feel like became this bubble that I wasn't expecting to necessarily have to manage, but I'm not ready to like be on someone else's label. Like I like the freedom of putting stuff out whenever I feel like, or, having, again, it's not like I'm not making any money off of it really. I'm covering my costs, but at least there's like some flexibility in it where I can kind of like maintain kind of the cadence and rhythm of how things are released. And it works around my schedule basically. So that's about it.
Okay.
Now, if
So
someone
you're
walked up
just
to me and was like, "Hey, we want to buy all your cassettes and ship everything for you," I'd be like, "Okay, keep talking. I don't know. Let's
yeah,
figure this
yeah.
out." But
So you're gonna give me money right now though, right?
yeah, right up
Okay.
front.
All right.
Yeah.
No, I understand. Once you start like managing like other like artist releases and stuff, it's like it no longer becomes like your time frame, your timetable. It's like an amalgamated timetable.
Yeah, releases are kind of interesting. It's like you get a handful the day you release something, or like on a Bandcamp Friday or whatever, where you have to like buckle down and get a bunch of shipments out. But typically, it's just like you know here or there. It's like at the end of work, I'm like, okay, I'll just like ship a couple packages or whatever. It's very manageable. Outside Farcaster and Desolation Plains, this is kind of like a funny side thing, but I'm working on having my first live performance next month. So that should be fun. That's a first for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
It,
is that going to be local up in Minnesota?
yeah, it's going to be in Minnesota. It's actually going to be closer to my hometown, kind of out in rural Minnesota, uh, for kind of this outdoor, they call it a porch fest. So, it's a small town where, businesses around the area and people, just residents, open up their backyards and have people play sets and whatever. So I'm
Oh,
gonna play a little set at my sister's place, and yeah, should be fun.
oh, that's
But
going to
yeah,
be
that'll
interesting.
yeah, it should be fun. I'll see if I get video, and if it's really bad, I won't share it at all. But
Fair enough.
yeah, it'll it's not Farcaster, it's not Desolation Plains. It's gonna be kind of maybe there will be like some dungeon synth undertones, but it'll be like more generally electronic music, quote unquote.
Okay.
Very much focused on kind of the electron, dig attack, octatrack mindset, just
Okay.
composing on the fly kind of thing. So yeah, that's
All right.
that's where my head's been at lately.
So when people ask you like what you're, like what name you're performing under, like what are you going to tell them if it's not Desolation Plains or Farcaster?
Yeah, tentatively it's Scarlet Rituals. So
Okay, interesting.
it in my mind I have like kind of a midsummer vibe going. Hopefully get a cool cloak and like dress everything up in a bunch of dead flowers or something. I don't know, but
Like you said, Scarlet Rituals, and it's like I instantly thought of like games like Silent Hill or Agony. Like,
sure. Okay, so very specifically in my mind, it kind of goes back to Elden Ring. I don't know if you played that, but you know the celebrants, the like creepy
I,
dancing ladies in the fall.
I did not play Elden Ring. I remember
Okay,
when it first came out. I remember like literally everybody was completely obsessed with the game when it came
yeah,
out. Every
love
single
that
one of
game.
my friends, they were just like, "No, you haven't played Elden Ring. You haven't played Elden Ring." I'm like, I'm still trying to 100% MGS5 over here, guys. I'm behind on my
Sure.
gaming. All right.
Right. Yeah, no, it should be fun. Like so far the set, I can share a couple with you after this too, but like it's kind of like, there's some foreboding elements, but then there's this like feverish optimism happening kind of in the background too. There's a lot more like sampling involved.
And this is out in the countryside of Minnesota.
Yeah, heck yeah. So
Oh, this I don't know what the
should be
countryside in
fun.
Minnesota looks like. I know if I went out to the countryside of Oklahoma and tried something like that, it's like I don't know how well it'd go over, but Oklahoma and
Well,
Minnesota are very different.
yeah, so we do have a lot of the same kind of rolling plains you do. I did want to wear like a full like Swedish dress like they do in Midsummer, but I probably would get shot. So, um,
Oof, man. Yeah, I'm gonna and you've already got the long hair, so you might want to, there's a
right.
there's a little bit of an artificial panic going around the states right now. So be careful
Yep.
out there,
Yep.
buddy.
Well, kind of want to push it too. Um,
Fair,
I
fair.
mean, for context, this community last year had a drag show at their local theater, which pretty cool,
And
pretty
nobody showed
progressive.
up with guns threatening people?
Well, they got like a front page article in the local paper, and like everyone, well, not everyone in the area, but a lot of people were having a pretty huge meltdown about it. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
the whole
Yeah.
like, oh, you're all groomers kind of situation. But yeah, it's great. The funny thing is like one of the local fire departments or whatever had a drag show like a decade prior for a fundraiser. So it's like, come on, guys, like you get it. It's fun to dress up as ladies once in a while. Just chill
Just
out a
every
bit.
once in a while. Calm down. It's fine.
Anyway, I'll probably like forego that because I'll be a nervous wreck as is.
Yeah.
Pushing buttons and making noise in front of people. It's just something I haven't done yet. So trying to grow.
All right, so let's recap here. So you got the brand new Farcaster album out, just like last week. People can find that
Yeah.
at farcaster.bandcamp.com.
Yep.
Or can they find all of it at Old Stories now?
Yeah, yeah, that's the beauty of it. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
oldstories.bandcamp.com. If you go there, you can, if you're interested in tapes, you click on the little merch button and you can load it up. Everything's stocked right now. Desolation Plains stuff is getting kind of low, but all the cool space albums are pretty well stocked right now. So yeah.
Okay. So oldstories.bandcamp.com. And that's you can find Desolation Plains, Farcaster, and Sorcerer now.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And then of course I know you can be found on social media on Twitter and Instagram. And that is at Desolation Plains for Instagram and Twitter, right? No, 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 no.
No.
At Wizard,
It's harder.
at Wizard Wave on Twitter, but
It's
it's two V's
yeah.
instead of a W.
Yeah, whenever I
Oh,
log in, I have to like think hard. Um,
oh man.
VVIZZRDW Wave.
Wait, you're a mysterious man.
Uh, Blue Oyster Cultist will get you there too. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
It's the same on Instagram as well, right?
correct. Yeah,
Okay,
um,
gotcha.
I know. I make it hard. I'm sorry. You really got to work. You really got to work for it if you want to know me. But No, I'm just kidding.
It's okay. It's great branding.
Thanks. It's like unforgettable, but absolutely like illegible. So
And then old stories. Is the label also on Instagram and Twitter now?
yeah, they're on both. That's much easier. That's read old stories on both. I'm probably gonna end up trying harder to post actual like label updates to those accounts more, like straight up like here's an album that came out, that kind of stuff. Personal accounts are going to be more, maybe more creative developments, maybe a couple like videos of me like doing some stuff live, whatever. Kind of more spaced out, less coherent, usual content stuff you
Of
find on social
course.
media, I guess. But
Some
yeah,
videos
if
of
you
you
want
playing on some videos of you playing on a synth, and then right after that, some kind of strange comment in the form of a tweet.
Yes, exactly. Yep, yep. But if you just want the
Absolutely.
brass tacks announcements, yeah, you better check out Read Old Stories instead. So,
If you want the weird shit, you got to come to my personal Twitter. This is where the freak
yep,
flag flies, y'all.
yep. If you want to, right, if you want to see a tweet that's up for a minute and then deleted shortly after, you go to my personal Twitter.
Thanks for joining me again, Nick. Always a pleasure talking to you. And with any luck, I'll see you again in a less than a year this time.
Hell yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.